states that to be successful, each and every one of us must be active, aggressive and devoted to this cause. Port Adelaide has had its fair share of heartbreaks and disappointments across many AFL final series. But is 2023 the one that Ken Hinkley and his men stand tall?
Kicks towards goal. Umpire hardly shuffles. Sensational from Travis Boak.
What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be previewing the qualifying final between Port Adelaide and Brisbane at the Gabba this Saturday night at 6:55 p.m. That's right, we're into the big boy leagues. It's finals time, it's September, the sun is shining, and it's going to be an absolute pearler of the night at the Gabba as well. So a lot to play for. A home prelim is on the line. We know what we're talking about. We know we've been here before. It's just a matter of, can we do it? Can this be the time? And it all starts Saturday night. So let's get straight into it and let's preview qualifying final, Port Adelaide versus Brisbane. There is absolutely no expectation from the outside that Port Adelaide are going to win this game. It is simply all up to us. There is the internal belief, and I'll get to that in a minute. There is that internal belief that the club has, the players have, Ken Hinkley. There is the internal belief that we have as supporters, and we produce that both socially and within ourselves. And then there's obviously the internal belief of the community as a whole that really believes that Port Adelaide can do the job. And I speak about internal belief because I think that is the most important factor for Port Adelaide getting the job done Saturday night. You can talk about how we'll play, who plays on who, and that is important. But we all know, Port fans, we all connect on the same level. There is one thing that is stopping us from going all the way this year, and what stopped us in the past and every other year. Hasn't been selection, hasn't been the way we played. It's been this. Mentally. We haven't been prepared for what's to come. Qualifying finals, we haven't lost one in ages. I think 20 years was the last time we lost a qualifying final. You know, we won 2021 against Geelong, 2020 against Geelong, 2017 was obviously an elimination final, 2014 was the same elimination final, 2013 was an elimination final. Go back to 2007, won that one against West Coast. 2005 was an elimination final against North. 2004, qualifying final against Geelong. 2003, that's where we lost our last qualifying final. It is dangerous to be playing at the Gabba, and that's another step in the mental factor. Is the Gabba is the scariest place. You go to play the Lions, it's the cage, it's what's going to be the stepping stone into taking a good side into a great side. You can beat the Lions at the Gabba and you can win pretty much anywhere. That's where this lies. It is the most important game of the final series for Port. I say that because once we get to a prelim, if we get to a prelim, that will become the most important game. But this right here, this is the one for me. This ticks the box. Win this at the Gabba, and there is a lot more to come in 2023. It's good. I think being an underdog in this final series is actually going to be one of the more positive factors for a side. You look at teams like Sydney, teams like St Kilda, teams like Melbourne coming up against Collingwood. You know, this first week of finals has a lot on it. And, you know, you look at someone like the D's, if they can beat the Pies, and then all of a sudden it's a Collingwood versus Carlton or Collingwood versus Sydney semi, and anything's up for grabs. So then you look at our side of the draw, St Kilda, GWS, you know, St Kilda could be travelling to Adelaide or to Brisbane. You know, it just all depends on what occurs in the first week. And that's why I think, for some reason, Port Adelaide is the biggest underdog of the weekend, because it's at the Gabba. Because there is such a vast difference between second and third. If you look at the run into finals, I wouldn't say that the form for either side has been terrific. The Brisbane Lions have done the job against the Crows the Saints They beat the Pies at Marvel. And then they lost to Gold Coast only a month prior and pumped by the Gold Coast Suns. You look at Port, Just lost to the Cats, smashed the Giants, scraped across the line against the Dockers, and it was a shit game against Richmond at the Adelaide Oval. But I just feel like there's a pulse there that's about to click, and the heart rate's about to go up, and I just think it's all going to connect. And I have that internal feeling. I'm scared. Like, I'm sitting here, borderline sweating, thinking it's a qualifying final. If we lose, yeah, we get a second chance. But then there's that doubt of straight sets. It's all mental. Every single player in that side has, well, not everyone, but every single player in that side has a mental capacity. It's the experienced ones that have been here before that is going to make the difference here. I'm talking your Rosie, your Butters. This is where they become the experienced players, your Bokes, and so forth. I look at the side of Brisbane, and I see star power. I see their midfield, Lockie Neal, McGluggage, Josh Dunkley. I look at their forward line, Danaher, Hipwood, caused us so many issues. Charlie Cameron, down back they have Harris Andrews. You know, they have a cohort of players that do the job and do it exceptionally well. They have that star power, but then they also have their grunting players in and around the contest and the experienced ones around there as well. They know how to play football. They know how to play the Gabba very well. The Gabba can be a fortress with the crowd, but I think it's just the actual stadium that causes so many teams grief, and it just becomes a suffocating nature of they're actually playing lines and it's in the wild. That's the mentality that would be. So then I take us to the mentality of selection. And we look at it. Look who's available. Lysette, been training. Looks good. Wouldn't say great, but looks good. Does he come up against McInerney? Do you risk it with Sam Hayes? Vizentini's obviously injured. Do you go with a smaller option of Finlayson? Then obviously Marshall comes back in. There is no Dixon. He's been ruled out, which is unfortunate and probably a big factor considering in round one, he absolutely dominated Harris Andrews. Then you look at Trent McKenzie. Complements our backline the best out of anyone with O'Leary. There are things all around the ground that could be manipulated a little bit. Then I look at the weekend, and obviously the Magpies unfortunately exited out. And for Orazio kicked 4 goals. And they were quick 4 goals too. There was, I think he went bang bang in the second or third term. Does he come in for a McEntee or an Evans? Who becomes sub this week? Is Dylan Williams sub again? Jonas plays. If I'm honest, your Lysette, your Marshall, your McKenzie come in. Simple as that. Obviously, Ollie Lord makes way for Marshall. Probably might get his opportunity again if they go towards that ruck. More of a taller forward line, really stretch the line's defence. I know the weather's going to be pretty damn good, so there is that option there. Who else comes out? Does Jonas actually come out? I'm borderline tempted to keep Jonas in, simply because of that bigger body, that experience factor. He can cope, and I think he did an okay job in round one. So you keep your experienced ones there. The week off would have been so well deserved for Port and the bodies. And because of the constant injuries and sickness, we've scraped to the finals, finished in third. Selection becomes all the more crucial because we have a healthy list. We have key players coming back. So Lord comes out. I think Evans will come out. I think McEntee might come out. I think Orazio would be a great consideration. But McEntee's obviously put in the hard work and dedication. And I think he still has a little bit left there to give. And I think the week off would have been really well suited for him. And I think Ken will reward that. So I think I would prefer McEntee in. That's because, people will say you've got a soft spot for him, but I generally think his pressure will be a lot better than Orazio's. And we can kick enough goals, even with or without Orazio. So I think that's up for debate, definitely. I'd love to know your comments below, but I think he's probably travelling Orazio, but he's not playing. Obviously Lysette comes in for Hayes. So it's a big selection. It's one that will have to be strongly considered. And I think a lot of the form factors will play into consideration. But then also I look back to round one, how well we played Brisbane, that third quarter. I think you take a lot of that confidence from that game. we've got over a hoodoo that we can't beat Brisbane often. And we haven't won at the Gabba since, I think, 2017. So it's all to play for. Okay, here's my tip. I'm tipping Port Adelaide by 7 points. If you haven't watched the glass table already, go check out the latest episode for a full finals preview of all 4 games. Would love to know your thoughts on that. So the link will be at the end of the video. I'm going to be tipping Port by 7. Close game. I just think we have the capabilities, and we're the most underrated team going into this final series. No one's giving us a chance. That's our best footy right there. We play like that, with that underdog status, no expectation, and we fly through. Let's hope that's the case anyway. Thank you so much for watching, Port fans. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, and check out all the other videos that come out. Obviously the pump up video and the glass table latest episode as well. Get around that. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content as well. My name is Anthony, and as always, come on, ThePear.